Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This right here is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It's lovely to have you along for the ride. For the people on the podcast, I've started the show off today with out showing my face. Instead, I'm showing the MLB promo banner for Phillies, New York Metropolitans, NLDS. These two teams, these division rivals, have never met before in the postseason. And thanks to a dramatic, absolutely dramatic win by the New York Mets last night in Milwaukee, they move on to face the Phils. Pete Alonso stepped up, in case you didn't see it. Pete Alonso stepped up, down 2-0, 2 runners on, top of the ninth inning, big bang boom, 3-run home run. You know how they say home runs are supposed to be accidents? That was an accident. Just looking for a pitch to drive, he said after the game. Just looking for a pitch to make good, solid contact on. And he didn't really make good, solid. He went opposite field with it, went with the pitch, as they say, and put it over the right field wall at Friends and Family Field, or whatever the heck it's called out there in Milwaukee now. I don't know. But anyway, put it over the right field wall. Just barely a wall scraper. 3-run home run. Mets go up. They get another run in the inning. They win the game 4-2. Absolutely incredible. And just as a baseball fan, it was an incredible game. Of course, I was rooting for the Brewers. You know what I mean? But here's where I'm at. I've gone from the scared of the Mets thing, and here's what I've talked myself into. I've talked myself into I'm not scared. I'm not scared of the Mets. Now, I even said yesterday, if the Phillies draw the Mets, they'll beat the Mets. It'll be more fun to beat the Mets. It'll be easier to beat the Brewers, but it'll be more fun to beat the Mets. So the way this whole thing works out is I look at this Mets team, and I don't fear them. I respect them. That's what I've moved into now. And they've got come from behind wins. They've been absolutely red hot since London. The Phillies, not so much. As a matter of fact, before London, let's see here, 28-36 were the New York Mets, 28-36. Since London, 61-37. 61-37. They are 24 games over 500 since London. Meanwhile, your Philadelphia Phillies, 45-19 before the old London town, and now 50-48. 50-48. 2 games over 500 since going to London. How about that? Ugh. Pretty much sums it up. Thank you very much, Vic Fangio. 28-36 plus 24. Oh, my God. London changed everything for these teams. Hey, the Mets needed a kick in the keister, I guess, going into London. They left London with that kick in the keister. And they had the Phillies bullpen. Let's see. First, it was Gregory Soto blowing the save. Then it was Jose Alvarado blowing the save. The Mets came back twice in the second game in London. And that first game in London was one of the last times we saw Ranger Suarez really be Ranger Suarez, unfortunately. Took the line drive off his hand, you remember? Then his family came to the United States. Oh, God. And then, of course, he just was terrible in July. So it's been rough. It's been rough, unfortunately, since the Phillies got back from London. I don't blame London. I blame the Phillies because the Mets certainly don't look like London has been a terrible thing. So my stance on this series, as of right now, I respect the Mets. I don't think this is going to be an easy series for the Phils. We're talking about a series that is going to go most likely 5 games. And if it does, that's when the Mets starters start to come back around. We'll talk about that as the show goes on today. And we'll also talk about a wild game in the NFL last night. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons just teed off against one another last night in Thursday Night Football. Baker Mayfield looks like a stud. Kirk Cousins they honored Matt Ryan last night, inducted him into the Falcons Ring of Honor. And Kirk Cousins went out there last night and threw for a franchise record 509 yards. And 4 touchdowns at a couple of different occasions in the game, especially in the later stages of the game. It looked like both teams wanted to choke the game away. Both of them. Instead, Falcons win in overtime, 36-30. Both teams in the NFC South 3-2 on the season. Instead, that's where we're at after last night's game. Big game last night in the NFL. Eagles. I think I've narrowed it down to 5 things I need to see from the Eagles. I mentioned yesterday a whole list of players that I just need to see overall improve. There's a couple of things I need to see the Eagles, not individually, but as a team. I need to see them do. So we'll get to that on the show today. Also, Joel Embiid was addressing the media yesterday in the Bahamas, where the Sixers are having their training camp. Okay, nice. He was addressing the media yesterday. He was asked, who's been playing the best so far? And he's like, Jared McCain. 76ers rookie. 76ers TikTok star. Jared McCain has been playing the best so far at training camp. Okay. All right. All the words of encouragement, please, and thank you. I'll absolutely need that going forward. Let's get a little bit more into this Phillies and New York Mets NLDS. First off, overall feeling of this series. I love this. It is a great rivalry. And very rarely in this rivalry, with great geographical influences, obviously, in this rivalry, you've never faced each other in the postseason, which is amazing. And you're very rarely ever good. The reason you've never faced each other in the postseason is because very rarely are the Mets as good as the Phillies and the Phillies as good as the Mets for when it comes to actually making the playoffs. Now, the Phillies did the Mets a huge favor towards the end of the season by going to New York, playing 4 games, and losing 3 of them. And in one of those games, they started Taijuan Walker. Thanks. He hadn't started the game in September. You waited for the 3rd week in September to be like, meaningful game. Maybe we let the Mets into the playoffs. Let's have Taijuan Walker pitch. Okay, so Taijuan Walker comes in there, and he starts the game and was terrible. Allowed 4 home runs. Thanks for stopping by. A career high, by the way, 4 home runs. So that's cool. But still, nonetheless, even if you split that series, with the way things came down for the Mets, they would have had to sweep that doubleheader against the Braves instead of splitting that doubleheader against the Braves. So maybe the Mets aren't even in the playoffs. Here's one horrible thing that jumped in my mind. You know how it's not a direct parallel by any means, but it has a similar vibe of, hey, don't let a hot team in the playoffs. Phillies did that with the Cardinals in 2011. 2011 also happens to be the last time the Phillies won the division. And the Phillies went on and they played the Mets, and they lost to the Mets, and the Mets went on to go and make the playoffs. They don't have as good a series against the Phils. Then maybe they don't make the playoffs. They most likely don't make the playoffs, but they won 3 out of 4 against the division rival. Then the Mets go on, and they have a nice little time against the Brewers. They have a nice little time there against the Braves, obviously. And bing, bang, boom, they're in the postseason. Then they go 3 games against the Milwaukee Brewers. 3 games with their burning starting pitching, which is good, obviously. It goes in the Phillies' favor. And 3 games where they figure out, oh, look, we can be clutch. And they've been clutch for 3 months now. This is nothing new. But overall, I'm going to stay true, because I haven't been moved off of this mark, even in the second half struggles for the Phils. This Phillies team, I still believe, will play in the postseason with a chip on their shoulder. Despite having their best record in 13 years, despite winning the division for the first time in 13 years, despite 2 games over 500 since they came back from London, despite that, I feel that this Phillies team will absolutely play with that chip on their shoulder. I think listening to Bryce Harper, Joe Blanton, even Nick Castellanos, Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, all the guys that were on the 2022 World Series losing team, the 2023 Game 7 NLCS losing team of last year against the Diamondbacks, they still very much have a chip on their shoulder of unfinished business. The Mets, could they be the team of destiny? They could be the team of destiny. Yeah, absolutely. They have talent, not just to be, oh, look how lucky they are. They're playing great at the right time. No, they're playing great. All respect in the world, they're playing great. But when it comes to the postseason and it comes to a team struggling at the end of the year, one of the things I think about is the mental aspect of the game. And the mental aspect of the game, from players I've talked to, from coaches I've talked to over the years, this is a huge reset button. It's an opportunity. And I hate the phrase flip a switch. Like, oh, flip a switch and all of a sudden you're great. Well, sometimes overall as a club, you need that mindset change. You need that shift. And the Phillies knew they were going to make the playoffs for a while. I know a lot of people had their doubts, but the Phillies knew they were going to make the postseason for a while. Did they lock up the division? They locked up the division. Now it's push come to shove. Now you're getting that whole second half of the season where you're a 500 ball club, by the way. You're getting that out of the way. And now you focus on the real prize, winning postseason games. There's no excuses for a lack of focus. There's no excuses for being tired. You just have 5 days off. You just had a bye week. I've said a sentence this week that I've never said in my life, and maybe you've said it too, and you've never said it either. Hey, what are you doing this week? I don't know. The Phillies and the Eagles both have the bye week. What? Huh? What is it? What is that even about? What are you talking about? What's happening there? What? They have a bye week? Oh, yeah, they have a bye week. I've never said that sentence before. Phillies and the Eagles both have the bye week? I mean, first off, why didn't I go away on vacation this week? What the hell's wrong with me? Anyway, for the rust argument, that can go away real quick. Real quick. If the Phillies all of a sudden come out of the gates hot, they get a great start from Zach Wheeler, they get a couple of runs in the first couple of innings of the game, they actually establish some early offense, that'd be great to see. I would absolutely love to see that for this Phillies team. And I believe they can do it. If you look at how the Phillies have played against the Mets as a lineup this year, all your top guys that have been your regular starter, even in Mundo Sosa and his starts against the Mets, they all got plus, other than Bryson Stott, they all have plus 330 on base percentage against the Mets. They've all hit well, 289, 280 against the Mets. They've all done a nice job. The unfortunate thing is the Phillies don't have a guy like Jose Iglesias, who has just, in 9 games against the Phillies this year, just hit 417. Like, they don't have the Phillies don't have one guy that's just been absolutely dominant. Like, their best hitter against the Mets, I think, is Nick Castellanos with a 289 batting average. So it's from a lineup standpoint, a lot of guys have had solid success. For the Mets, Iglesias is the guy that really jumps out. Brandon Nimmo still has 3 home runs against the Phillies this year. Pete Alonso has found his homers against the Phillies as well. So looking at it like that, from that perspective, it's a balanced series. But the Phillies have more guys that have done well, while the Mets have more guys that have done great against the Phils. From a pitching standpoint, this is the most interesting thing, and this is where the wild card really matters. And even if you look at the Phillies winning their wild card rounds over the last 2 years, there were 2 games. Bing, bang, boom, done. The Mets used 4 starters, actually. Because yesterday, what was interesting was in the 9th inning, they brought in Peterson. David Peterson to pitch the 9th inning. And I know that you might look at it and say, oh, he didn't throw a lot of pitches. That's fine. But at the same time, he had the up down. He got high. Look, this is how baseball looks at it now. Don't judge me. This is how I'm just telling you what they do. Oh, he warmed up, pitched. He's going to need to cool off. Maybe we could get him back around in a couple days as opposed to 5. See how that works out. But they used Peterson last night, so he's not going to be starting against, most likely, not going to be starting against Zach Wheeler tomorrow at 4:08. Tyler McGill is an option. Luis Severino is an option. Both these guys have had success against the Phillies. Recent success against the Phillies. McGill, I believe, got that Sunday night start against Zach Wheeler at the end of the year, towards the end of the year as part of that series, and that was a pitcher's duel. Luis Severino has had some success against the Phils this year. Sean Manaea certainly figured it out, but when you look at who could be going, Severino, Sean Manaea, Jose Quintana were all starters in the wild card round. So Severino could come back around and pitch against the Phils. This is the one, other than rest, This is the one advantage. If you look at rest as an advantage, and maybe you wanted the Phillies to just keep playing, maybe you wanted them to make the wild card round, whatever. But when you look at it like this, these are the guys that the Phillies could be facing in game one. I would love to say that Zach Wheeler's just going to go out there and do his thing. I'd love to say Aaron Nola is going to go out there and do his thing. I didn't even know that Christopher Sanchez's wife was expecting, but they just had a baby yesterday, I think it was. Good God. Congratulations. God bless. So he's been busy, to say the least. Ironically enough, I don't think he missed that scrimmage. So there's that. But he's got a lot on his plate as of late. All in all, I see this being a tough series for the Phils. I don't see him losing it. Although, look, we've all watched the Phils. If you're a Phillies fan, you've watched the Phillies in the second half of the season. You've watched the Phillies since I got back from London. It hasn't been good. It's obviously not been good. Nothing would shock me if the Phillies lose this series. It wouldn't shock me. I do expect them to win. The longer it goes, clearly, the more it benefits the Mets because they get their number ones around while the Phillies are kind of burning theirs. Starters, that is. But I would find it very difficult to believe that this Phillies team somehow didn't embrace the rest that they just got. We know that they had the scrimmage game 2 days ago. They had a voluntary workout yesterday. They have a mandatory workout today. See if Christopher Sanchez is a part of that or not. He won't have to go till Sunday at the earliest anyway. So a lot of this with the Phils comes down to just scheduling, but I would find it very difficult to believe that this rest didn't help them tremendously. And the reason I was rooting for the rest and not so worried about the rust is because Alec Boehm has been dealing with an injury. Bryce Harper, he looked like he was swinging a bat and his elbow was held together by a really old rubber band. That's what it looked like. And I know it's not going to cure him, but if that's a couple of days of resting that arm, if that's a couple of days of resting the wrist and the elbow and whatever other ailment we don't even know about yet, take that time, brother. Take that time. Nick Castellanos just played 162 games. 162 games. He's coming off his best month of the season, the month of September. If you're worried about rust, that would be the one guy to look at. But he's also coming off the hottest month he's had. The surprise guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing in the playoffs. We've seen guys throughout their careers, they might have a bumpy regular season, and they get to the postseason, and they've had some success. They've turned it on, so to speak, for the postseason. They found that proverbial switch that so many people talk about. Bryson Stott's season at the plate has been insanely disappointing. For a guy that I know John Kruk, every chance he gets, talks about the chance this guy has of winning a batting title. I didn't see that guy at all this year. Like, the best you saw from him was, a 265 batting average in 1 month? Okay. That's not great. Where's the 320? Where's that? Oh, that hot month he had. It was great. Didn't see that. I mentioned he's the one guy that I think had 314 on base percentage against the Mets this year. Not ideal as an OBP for a guy that works great at bats and can certainly work walks and can certainly put the ball in the outfield. But if there's one guy I'm looking at to see who could turn around and really help this team that is sort of under the radar, like everyone's going to be looking at Bryce Harper, everyone's going to look at Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, those guys, Alec Boehm. But I think the one guy that's kind of under the radar for this team is a guy who's had a very under the radar season at the plate. I say at the plate because I think he's going to be a Gold Glover at second base. But it's Bryson Stott. Now would be the time for Bryson Stott to break out of it. And if you're talking about anybody that could need that reset button, it's Bryson Stott. From a pitching standpoint, I look at this rotation. I mean, Nola is just one of those guys that's always shaky. Zach Wheeler, after long layoffs, can certainly have his struggles. The game I always go back to is his first start since coming back from London against the Red Sox. He had one of his worst starts of the season, if not his worst start of the season. So there's a couple of different things I could look at there. But when it comes to the rotation, I think Wheeler's going to be locked in. Nola gives me the scaries. Probably not going to want Sanchez to start on the road. My guess would be right now, unfortunately, the timing's terrible with the birth of his first kid. But he's most likely going to go in game 2. That's the way I see this playing out there for the Phils. But if I'm looking at this series and making the prediction, I don't see how the Mets don't continue to be a thorn in the side of the Phillies, and this goes 5 games with the Phillies having to come back to South Philadelphia for game 5. Oh, boy. Ugh. Yep. Game 5. Feel like it's going to be a long, agonizing NLDS. What's your confidence level? Are you a rust guy? Are you a rust gal? Are you a rest guy? Are you a rest gal? Where are you at? What do you like? Where's your mind at? You know what I mean? Boy. That's where we're at. Yeah. So, during this bye week, other than I told you guys I had lunch with my 102-year-old uncle, which was awesome, where he is living right now in the retirement community. Retirement community. He's 102. Retirement was like 50 years ago. Other than him telling me how much the food sucks there, and then taking him out for lunch, how much he was looking forward to it. Other than doing that, I've been thinking about the Eagles and watching baseball and thinking about the Eagles. And my point of yesterday's show was the unfortunate topic of talking about how the Eagles are a broken team right now. And I think the number one reason why they're a broken team is because of turnovers. They just are absolute killers. And the head coach. This structure that the Eagles are in and this Eagles have set up for themselves is awful. It's absolutely awful. And the structure they have right now is the guy that's supposed to be in charge has what seems to be the least amount of power. Even if you say, all right, fine, he's calling plays every once in a while. Okay. Not totally shocked by that, but all right, he's the head coach. He has an idea for a play, offensive mind. He's going to call the play. If he wants to go for it on a 4th and down, it's because he has confidence in this particular play. Tush push alignment, run it outside with Saquon Barkley. Not great. Not the best idea in the world there against the Saints, but okay there, Nick. But I get it. I want to go for it on 4th down, and I want to use this play. All right, fine. You're the head coach. I get it. But that's not what was supposed to be. What was supposed to be was that Kellen Moore was supposed to run the show. I've made the comparison many times since the, again, next step of diminishing power of Nick Sirianni in saying that the Eagles, they won a Super Bowl after a very unconventional way of doing things. That is taking their general manager, Howie Roseman, saying, stay in the broom closet over there, and we're going to have this Chip Kelly guy run the show completely, and we'll let you know if you can come out of there, when you can come out of there, if we let you out of there. Okay, 100%, man. And he goes in the closet, okay? And then Chip Kelly is terrible, and they bring Howie Roseman out of the broom closet, and they're like, hey, Howie! 2 years later, they win a Super Bowl. Teams don't, that's not how you do it. That's not how you win a Super Bowl. What? How the hell that happened? But it happened. So I guess the Eagles have this idea that they can kind of do things in an unconventional way and achieve the ultimate goal of winning the Super Bowl. So now they have Nick Sirianni, the diminishing responsibility, and now without question in a position where he is at odds with his quarterback. I have no doubt in my mind that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, they don't get along. I think Nick really wants to get along with Jalen. Jalen, I think, is done with Nick. But I think Jalen's a nice guy, and he just doesn't want to say anything. So that's why he keeps it short and sweet. He also doesn't want to praise Nick Sirianni because Nick Sirianni's still here, and his guy Brian Johnson is not. If the Eagles are going to be successful, one of the 5 things I'm looking at is somehow there's at least a level of respect gotten to. And I know it might be hard, and I know you might not respect Nick Sirianni. You might not even respect Jalen Hurts. But if those two are going to work together and achieve any ounce of success for the rest of this year, something needs to be done. Either that just needs to be cut off completely with either Nick Sirianni being fired, which is not going to happen now, since if they were going to fire him, they're going to do it at the bye week. And I never thought that was actually going to happen anyway. I might have been wanting it myself, and I didn't want Nick Sirianni back anyway. So I thought, 2-2 at the bye. You have to a week here. All right. No better time like the present. That's not the decision that Jeffrey Lurie wanted to make. So there you go. Here we are. Still with a lot of the same problems of last year. But if they're going to have any type of success this year, there has to be some kind of working relationship established, more so than what it is. And a perfect example of this is that play I just referenced with the run to the outside, tush-push formation, okay? And Saquon Barkley breaking it out to the left to be stopped. When they were calling that play, you could see Nick Sirianni on the sideline doing all the talking, and the look I saw on Jalen Hurts' face is like, dang, okay, we're not just going to take the points here? Nick Sirianni starts talking. The camera was right over top the huddle. And Jalen Hurts is just looking like,
to who?
Okay, what? Oh, I said Sirianni, so my phone does that thing. To who? The Eagles. That's to who. Yeah. Maybe else his phone do that? If you're talking about Nick, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and say his last name, and his phone go off. Maybe I'm putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Anyway, there needs to be some kind of mutual respect reached between quarterback and head coach. And right now, I don't see that. Which is just a recipe for disaster. Number 2 is the turnovers. We're looking at Jalen Hurts. It's like no one else has had the opportunity to turn the football over because no one else has had the football in their hands, other than like Saquon Barkley, right? Whose biggest grievance this season, or biggest problem this season, detriment this season, was a drop, obviously, against the Falcons. But the turnover game with Jalen Hurts is absolutely ungodly. And they're so avoidable is the biggest problem I have with them. And it comes down to decision-making. And I've referenced this a couple times, but Jalen Hurts, before the open practice in the preseason, the training camp, before the open practice at Lincoln Financial Field, he addressed the media. And he was asked about correcting the turnovers. And he talked about doing what he's coached to do. If it's Nick Sirianni's philosophy or Kellen Moore's philosophy, whoever's philosophy it is, the idea of him making the play at this point, I have to just look at Jalen. 4 games into it with a different offensive coordinator and a different offensive philosophy here. I know you can look at comparisons between Nick Sirianni and last year and this year and all that stuff, but for me, what it comes down to, it's the same guy making the mistakes. And I actually appreciate Nick Sirianni saying this because this is something I said all throughout last year. Whether it's Julian Lurie and the analytics department and Jeffrey Lurie and all that, whether it's Nick Sirianni, whether it's Brian Johnson, whether it was Shane Steichen, even though he wasn't here with the problems of the turnovers, whatever they're coaching you to do, if it's make the big play, understand situational football. And when I go back to my notes from all the way back in, when was it? March. And I listed out things I needed to see from Kellen Moore with Jalen Hurts. The difference I needed to see was that Kellen Moore made Jalen Hurts understand situational football. Now, when I talk about situational football, a lot of people talk about, well, it's 3rd and short, 4th and 1. They convert. That's situational football. No. I'm not talking about conversion rate. Okay. Stat nerds. You know what I mean? Stats are for nerds. Nerds are losers. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Jason Kelsey. I'm talking about situational football as in being up late in the 4th quarter, throwing the ball down the middle of the field on a 1st and 10, or a 3rd and, what was it, 3rd and 9 in field goal range. And Jalen's scrambling around the field in Brazil, throws it in the middle of the end zone looking for A.J. Brown, and it gets picked off by Jair Alexander. You don't need that. Just you get the field goal waiting right there. No reason to throw that into triple coverage on a slippery sliding field. You don't need that. But he threw it. Not the best idea in the world. Things like that from Jalen Hurts, that needs to go out the window. And whether you're talking about the blame of the front office and analytics influence, whether you're talking about the blame of your offensive coordinator or your head coach, the ultimate thing, and this is what Nick Sirianni has said, and I said this before he even said it, so I ain't biting off of him. Jalen Hurts has final say over where that football goes. He is the quarterback of this team. He has final say. When he drops back to pass, he has final say over where that ball goes. Now, if he's smart, he'll look and see what the defense is giving him, and he'll be like, I'm going to take what the defense is giving me. If he's not smart, then he's trying to force things. No, I can make this throw. This is the thing of all the things that people have been jumping at the Carson Wentz comparison for 2 years now. Oh, it's just like Carson Wentz. This is the most obvious comparison. The most fair comparison is the hero ball comparison. He has final say over where that football goes. And if he's smart, he'll just take what the defense is giving him. Especially if it's a 1st and 10. You don't have to make the big play. You have to live and fight on the next down. Very simple. It's mental. Don't have to play hero ball like that. Jalen Hurts corrects this. The Eagles, as an offense, find a way to correct it. Although I go, again, right back to Jalen Hurts. This is on him, 100%. Can't look at it for 2 years over 2 different offensive coordinators and be like, oh, I think it's a coordinator again. Let's fire him. I think it's a head coach again. Let's fire him. I'd love to fire Nick Sirianni, but I'm not blaming him for this. This is on Jalen Hurts. So turnovers. Like 1, finding a way for the head coach and the quarterback to get away. 2, turnovers. 3, the tackling issue with this defense is unbelievable. I actually went back and watched some of that Tampa game. Not last night. I mean, the Eagles game against Tampa. If Nakobe Dean, Avonte Maddox, who again might be losing his job to Cooper DeJean for the rest of the season, coming back from the bye week, if these guys make stops either at the line of scrimmage or even in the backfield like Avonte Maddox had, if they make those stops, we're talking about different game. This is the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th drives of the game by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that before you know it was 24-0. These guys make tackles. The right play was called. It's not unlike what we were all talking about, Saquon's drop against the Falcons. Hey, the right play was called. He dropped the ball. The right play was called. Make the tackle. Vic Fangio's probably up in the booth just face palming. And one of the things I loved about Vic Fangio's defenses in years past was, oh, baby, they tackled, they were disciplined, they stayed in their lanes, they knew their responsibilities, and they executed. And it's the type of thing where the Kobe Dean, you can make not the excuse, but you could understand a little bit better that if the defensive line gets that push, if the defensive line wins their battles, if they execute, it makes life easier on everybody. But when it's missed tackles on the outside by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or Avonte Maddox, or unwise tackles by Reed Blankenship at the goal line on Baker Mayfield, you execute. You're there to make the play. Make the play. Relationship between coach and quarterback, quarterback's turnovers, tackling are the biggest pet peeves I have so far this season. And are they pet peeves if you know 50,000 people in the stadium are also bothered by them? I don't think they're pet peeves, right? They have to be somewhat obscure. These aren't obscure. These are, I think, very obvious things you need to see work themselves out for this Eagles season to turn it around. And by the way, I'm ruling out health. I don't like it's football. Guys are going to get hurt. Yeah, get healthy. There's some wisdom for you. The fourth thing, and this is the only Jalen Hurts' turnovers obviously is a big thing, but the Eagles can't punt on the Bryce Huff situation, right? Like, we're talking about a $53 million player learning. He's learning. I was very skeptical of the acquisition. I was extremely skeptical of the Bryce Huff situation. I went, all right. So here's a guy who's significantly younger than Brandon Graham and plays about the same amount of snaps as Brandon Graham. And he only plays really in passing downs. Huh. And the Eagles looked at him and went, this guy right here, he is ready for the promotion. And that's the term I was using all offseason. Bryce Huff ready for the promotion. You've done a great job on our sales team. Now we're going to bump you up to sales manager. Okay. What does that person do? Oh, you'll figure it out. Okay. Sales are plummeting. It's not good. And my concerns found great justification the first time I heard Vic Fangio talk about him. The analogy I've used many times in the past is he talked about Bryce Huff like he was an undrafted free agent. Well, you know, he's learning a new position and he's working really hard, and we'll see how he does with it. $53 million! What are we doing? Hassan Reddick isn't even here anymore. What are we doing? This is the guy. I think it was Victor Williams of Philly Pod who put out the all 22 angle of Bryce Huff against the Bucks. Yeah. Not winning a one-on-one battle against the third string tight end. Okay. Oh, in a passing down, by the way. We're having fun. This is so much fun. There's no bumping him back down to strictly a pass rusher. So he's the big acquisition. You lose a guy you know can be productive for you, just like he's been for the last 3 teams he's played on in Hassan Reddick, and you go to Bryce Huff. Immense downgrade at the position. Even the one-on-one battles he might be getting with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter especially getting double-teamed, he ain't winning on the outside. So the one guy I'm just going to say overall, not just like one guy in turnovers like Jalen Hurts, but the one guy I'm just going to say, just be better, dude, is Bryce Huff. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. The last thing that I look at with this Eagles team after the bye week. Next week, obviously, they start to get ready for the Cleveland Browns. The last thing I look at, we've talked about tackling, turnovers, coach relationship, Bryce Huff individually. The last thing that I look at is where is the flow of the offense? Where's the flow? Like you have Saquon. I know it's weird for us as people that root for this team to win games, that you have a bell cow back. And it does seem like at times he disappears. Now, I don't fault the Eagles as much as maybe some other people. And Nick Sirianni is right. They only had 9 plays. And Saquon had, I think, 2 carries. Like, for me, the failure in all of that isn't just the numbers there. The failure is that Jalen Hurts needed help. You have to acknowledge that as much as you want to be like, next man up, the next man up isn't that good. And if he was that good, he wouldn't be the next one up. He'd be up. He'd be the guy. Like, what do you have to be? Like, all right, he's the guy now. What? No. That's not how it works. So listening to Jalen Hurts, or excuse me, listening to Nick Sirianni, or listening to Kellen Moore talking about next man up, that's a great mentality to have if you are the guy at the end of the bench and you're waiting for that opportunity to get out there and do your thing. Good for you. That's a mentality you have to have. But you didn't have A.J. Brown. You didn't have Devontae Smith. You had Saquon Barkley. And you have a quarterback that has struggled mightily of cracking the code of Todd Bowles. And you didn't start by running the football. Your first play of the game was broken. And Jalen Hurts needed to escape the pocket immediately against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Immediately. Unfortunately, he rolled to his right, threw the ball downfield. There was a wide open Saquon Barkley. He just lost that ball in the air, and Saquon run under a touchdown. Game over. Or game over. Touchdown. I think the next play after that, they did run it. But it was, 3 and out. Again, the stat that I've gone back to a million times already is 24-0 before the Eagles' first down of the game. Before they even recorded a first down. 24-0. Jalen Hurts needs all the help he can get in that situation. I feel like it was coaching malpractice. When you establish a flow of the offense, you could do that so much easier when you have that run game going for you. You establish that run, everything opens up. Those blitzing linebackers, Levante David, these guys are going to hold up for a second if they think you're actually going to line up under center. What? Even a read option? Even a zone read? They're going to hold up for a second to see whether or not Saquon Barkley gets that ball in his hands, especially if you're establishing the run early, which you didn't do. The one name I've called out many, many times since the Bucs game is Kellen Moore. This was a huge measuring stick game for Kellen Moore. You got blown out against the Bucs end last season. You made big changes in the offseason, your coaching staff. Now you're back against the Bucs and get blown out again. Not ideal. Less than ideal. So that's what I look at. Offensive flow, tackling, coach and quarterback relationship. Oh, boy. Turnovers. And then the always underlying get healthy. And maybe the Eagles get back on track to the point where I'll have confidence that they could win a playoff game. Yesterday, I want to make sure I don't think I established it yesterday, but when I was talking about this team being a broken team, this is a team that I expected to go out there and really compete for a Super Bowl. And they don't look like that team. A team that turns the football over like this certainly does not look like a Super Bowl contending team. A team that can't tackle does not look like a Super Bowl contending team. And a team with this kind of structure certainly doesn't seem like it's going to compete for a Super Bowl. And for the people that say, oh, CEO teams, they compete for a Super Bowl. CEO teams can totally compete for a Super Bowl. Yeah, really? Who's the CEO? Are you looking at Nick? Do you honestly look at Nick Sirianni and go, that man right there is the CEO. He's in charge. He's running the ship, baby. I don't. So when people say, well, Nick Sirianni is CEO head coach, I go, that's not what I think of when I think of a CEO. And I also want to gag when they say that about Nick Sirianni, CEO type coach. He is somewhere between guidance counselor and regional manager. CEO seems a little too kind. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's where I'm at. As far as that game last night, the Bucs and the Falcons, holy stromboli. So Baker Mayfield, 180 yards, only 180 yards, 3 touchdowns. Rashad White, 72 yards. Bucky Irving, what a great name. 44 yards on the ground. Mike Evans had 2 touchdowns. Sterling Shepard, the former Giant, got in the end zone last night. I think it was the second touchdown of the game for the Bucs. But the way this game ended, it did go to overtime. Falcons score the first quarter with a touchdown to Drake London, 7-0. Evans comes back with a touchdown from the 2-yard line, 7-7. Bucs get a field goal. Mooney ends up getting a touchdown for the Falcons. Anyway, this game goes into the fourth quarter. It's 27-20 at the start of the fourth quarter. Mooney comes back for another touchdown. It's 27-27. Bucs get a field goal, 30-27. Turnover. It goes into overtime after a Young-Ho Koo 52-yard field goal to tie it up as time expires. Ties it up 30-30. Then goes into overtime. Let's see if I have this right. Okay, here it is. Okay. So, is that the fourth quarter? Yeah. Fourth quarter, Tampa Bay goes up 30-27. Falcons miss a field goal. Bucks turn it over on a fumble. Kirk Cousins throws an interception. Stupid interception. Triple coverage. Throws an interception with a minute 52 left. They're still down a field goal. Bucks punt. They have a nice little drive. The Falcons get the ball back. 9 plays, 47 yards. Set up a 52-yard field goal that ties it up, goes into overtime. 4 plays into overtime. They get the walk-off touchdown to Hodge. 45-yard touchdown from Kirk Cousins to walk it off. 36-30. Falcons win. Wild ending in that fourth quarter. Watching that unfold, the Mets had just come back on the Brewers with the Pete Alonso home run. And then I guess it was about an hour or so later, the Falcons the Falcons and Bucks have that crazy fourth quarter. What a night. What a sequence. What a sequence. Hey, let me tell you about the great people at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Download the MyBookie app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Take advantage of all they have to offer at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Use promo code Farzy. Oh, how about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Phillies. Mets. Tomorrow, 4:08 start time, South Philadelphia, NLDS. You want to go to the game? Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone. Create an account. Use promo code Farzy and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. That's the Game Time app, ladies and gentlemen. They also have last-minute ticket deals, flash ticket deals. They even have ticket deals for an hour after the event starts. So let's say you want to go to a concert or a comedy show, and you want to see that headline. You only want to see the headliner. Game Time app has you covered. They have tickets available for an hour after the event starts for mega huge Kajunga savings. So if you want to go to that concert or comedy show, just do yourself a favor right there. Use the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about our friends at Sky Motorcars? SkyMotorcars.com. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing on this fine. It's Friday. Can I tell you guys something and not sound like a total snob? So yesterday it was 77 degrees. Lil Toots had the day off for a holiday. Rosh Hashanah, I believe, to all our Jewish friends. Rosh Hashanah. So it was 77 degrees. It was a little hot outside. You know what I'm saying? We had an October pool day. It was a good day. It was a good day in the Farzetta house yesterday. Jumping in the pool in October? All right. It's a good day. I feel like we're friends here. I could say that. You guys won't judge me. IBH, hello. Daniel, hello. Happy Friday to you as well. Sean Gillespie, hello. Jason A, hello. Jason A, there is always that superstition where whoever, beats the Brewers in the postseason goes on to the World Series. So I'm worried for sure. Here's what I've learned. And I learned this from the 2008 Phillies. Because from the 2008 Phillies, and I wouldn't say I'm superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. All right. Anyway, I am superstitious. And, well, I used to be until the 2008 Phillies. Because literally, everything I thought I was doing as a fan to help them win, like if it was a lucky jersey or wearing the jersey I wore to a game they won, wearing it again, like I'd forget to do stuff and they'd still win. And I'd be like, oh, I don't mean anything. I don't mean anything. So I'm not into that anymore. So what I tell you all that to tell you this. I don't give a damn that they beat the Brewers. I don't give a damn what's happened in history. I only care about what's about to happen. And yeah, sometimes you can look at history to predict the future. But I look at this particular Phillies team and I say to hell with that. This Phillies team better be going into this postseason locked in, focused. And absolutely, I don't care if they have the second best record in all of baseball. They better feel like the damn underdog in all this. Like they got something to prove. You got no hit in a World Series. Yeah, combined no hitter. Fine. You got no hit in a World Series at home. You choked against the Arizona Diamondbacks in a Game 7 at home in the NLCS. We're supposed to have the great home field advantage, 4 hours of hell, whatever. Now you got the Mets. You're going to go lose to the Mets? You want to face the Mets again next year after you choke against them in the postseason, after you win your first division in 13 years? I double dog dare you to do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. For the record, please don't do that. But well, I tell you all that to tell you this. It's different. I really hope it's different. Regardless of who beats the... Hey, look, the Phillies beat the Brewers in 08, and then they won the World Series. So I hear you there. Jay saying, gosh, that Fangio bite cracks me up. I mean, it's just such great dad energy. Oh, boy. It's great. It is. It's a fun time. We're all having fun. We're all having fun here. Yuki Matsui. Hey, you're the man. Thank you, Yuki. I appreciate you. Sean Kilrain. My hate grew more for Alonso and Winker. Do you want to watch Pete Alonso cry? Here, you know what? Hold on. I'll because I'm a team player. Why? I don't have the episode? Oh, okay. Season 9. There's a show. Now, some people, they don't like this stuff. I like this. I don't hunt, personally, but I like this show, Meat Eater. I've talked about it on the show before. Basically, it's 20 minutes of a hunting show where this guy, Steve Ranella, goes out and gets, something, right? And then it's 5 minutes of a cooking show. So it's 20 minutes of a hunting show, 5 minutes of a cooking show. You know what I mean? So I really like this show. And Pete Alonso, after he won the home run derby in 2019, said, they asked him, hey, what you won the home run derby. What do you want to do next? And he goes, I want to go hunting with Steve Ranella. So they worked it out. And Pete Alonso went on the show Meat Eater. And they went after, I think it was mule deer they went after. And they were on like this, I think they were on somebody's private property. And they had a tag to hunt on that property. And they go hunting, and Pete Alonso, and it was a beautiful story. He talks about how much he loved his grandfather and how much his grandfather meant to me. And I love my grandfather. He was awesome, man. Awesome, man. And I'm like, this is beautiful. This is really nice. And then Pete Alonso kills a mule deer, and then he starts crying. And I'm like, I know this is very sentimental and this is a beautiful thing because he's thinking about his grandfather and all that. And that's beautiful. But I'm watching Pete Alonso cry as a Phillies fan. And the Phillies fan in me was like, yes, tears. So if you want to see Pete Alonso cry, season 9, Meat Eater. Probably about 6 minutes left in the episode is when it happens. But that is a great show. It's a fascinating show. Absolutely fascinating show. I have never wanted to go to Alaska to eat a moose. Growing up in like Doylestown, that thought never crossed my mind. And this guy goes up to Alaska, he gets a moose, and he makes a meal that I'm like, I want to go to Alaska and eat a moose. That looks delicious. Over a campfire? Yeah. Yes, please. Let's see here. Sean Kilrain, sorry. Got to get this out. F the Fets. Sorry, Mets, Farzy. Yeah, I hear you. We're all there, baby. We're all there. Farzy, they said McGill and Peterson, game 1. We should win that one, definitely. Like, what? It's probably going to be McGill because he hasn't pitched. trying to think. I think it was it McGill and Wheeler? Or was that Mania? No, it was McGill. Yeah, okay. McGill went 4 innings against the Phillies in that start in late September. 83 pitches, 4 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. The 1 earned run came on the Alec Boehm single. And that was the game Nimmo, I think it was. Yeah, Brandon Nimmo hit the home run off of Zach Wheeler. Wow, Zach Wheeler, man. 7 innings, 2 earned runs. 7 hits, 8 strikeouts in that start against the Mets. Ugh. Ay caramba. Peterson, I think the Phillies chased pretty early. Why do I feel like they got to him? Wasn't that one, I don't think. Mets won that one, Phillies. That wasn't the 12-run game, was it? It was. Ha 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 ha! Yeah, the Phillies, their only win in that series was the 12-2 victory. And they chased Peterson in the 4th inning. 5 runs, 4 earned, 8 hits. No homers off of him. Phillies would hit 2 home runs in that one. JT Realmuto got a homer in the 8th inning. And Alec Boehm hit a home run in the 4th. That was after he left the game. Ottavino let that one up there. That's a shame. So, yeah, I would think McGill's going to get the start in game 1. Nola needs to earn that money. Hell yeah. Buddy Christ, love this energy. Love it. Bring on the bum-ass Mets. April. Morning, April. James Alexander, good morning, Farzy. It's that time again for Red October. Zach Wheeler should start the first one. Yeah, absolutely. That's not in the debate. Clairvoy. Jalen has lost confidence in himself. Big D says hit the like button. Yeah, go ahead and hit that like button. Thank you very much. Eagles fan. Hurts has 41 fumbles since he's been drafted. 29 were lost and led to points. Dude can deadlift 600 pounds but can't hold on to the ball. To a regulation-sized football. That's funny. Thank you, Eagles fan. I needed that laugh. I wish it wasn't funny, but it's funny. Sean Kilrain, when I say Sirianni, my phone shuts off. Just how the Eagles' offense shuts off. That's funny. Sirianni pom-poms emojis coming up, Farzy. That's funny. I don't want to say it because I don't want my phone to go off again. Ian Burgett. Fangio's D is obsolete. You know, I don't necessarily like. Here's what I really don't like. Like, I told you guys before that the Miami players talked about Fangio's defense and how when you understand the concept, you can have all this freedom. I think one of the things that is a big part of that freedom is if you're a corner, whether or not to press is on you. You can make that call for yourself. I feel like I should be in press coverage in this situation. I'm going to step up on press coverage. When you don't see the Eagles in press coverage and you see Baker Mayfield continuously just taking 3-step drops and the ball's out and you're seeing how quick that's going on, then maybe you should mandate your players to get into press coverage. Give your defensive line somewhat of a chance. And they didn't do that. That's on Fangio. So that I agree. The tackling, that's on the players. You're in the NFL, you should tackle. It's kind of like being in the NBA and shooting. You should be able to shoot. Sean, that's hilarious about your phone. I know, right? Corey Littles, what's happening? He is always down when he starts games. So he's always taking the big play, and it's killing him. Also, he's been working on his mechanics, so he think he can make the throw. I need that to stop. That's just like, I don't mind a downshift. Like, here's the thing. Jalen Hurts can never be a game manager. He can never be a game manager. Now, stay with me here. I mean this is a compliment. Because game managers, to me, are just guys that won't lose you the game. They'll make very simple plays, put the balls in the hands of the receivers, and allow them to make the play. That's a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be a game manager. And I think Brock Purdy is the definition of this. But Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. Jalen Hurts can't be that because Jalen Hurts does have the ability to be a hero. It's when you force the issue of being a hero that you make the mistake. He has the ability to be a hero with his legs. He has the ability to be a hero with his arm. Like, you have seen him thread the needle. You've seen him do that. And you're like, oh, God, where has that been? That's amazing. You know? The fact that he could do it leads to you getting more pissed off when he doesn't do it. JB, Eagles look like real-life Tecmo Bowl. Tecmo Super Bowl? 4 run plays, 4 pass plays, turnovers, can't tackle, inconsistent, can't pick up a blitz. JB, that might be the best comparison I've ever seen in my life. Jason A., I am honestly worried about the Mets. I wanted to face them, but I'm worried. Hey, look, you can't be a logically thinking human being and look at this and be like, the Phillies are going to wipe the floor with them. No, I don't look at that at all. Mets are a good baseball team. They're playing great baseball. The thing the Mets have always done, which is, really metted up games, something, let the Mets met, that old saying, you know what I mean? They haven't done that lately. They get a huge home run from Pete Alonso last night. They find a way to make the playoffs. They beat the Phillies 3 out of 4. Wine Niners Wine. One thing that literally no one is talking about. Eagles lost top 3 receivers. Covey was their 3rd guy. That is true. Check the stats. Absolutely. Can't expect 4, 5, 6, 7th receivers to be NFL starter quality. I agree, which is why you use Saquon even more in the game. Wentz made the playoffs with practice squad wide receivers. That is true. One of the things that Wentz did in I forget the year. 2019? Yeah, 2019. That was more impressive to me with how banged up guys were. That was more impressive to me than even like the 13 games in 2027 or 2017, because he had nobody. It was literally just him, and he was doing it, man. He led that team to the playoffs. Sarianni, CEO of Clown Town. Thank you, Wine Niners Wine. Shepard has been nice for Tampa. Absolutely, Jason A. Sean Gillespie arguing O-line with some idiot trying to compare Sirianni with Tomlin. Oh, online, not O-line. Sorry. Actually arguing online with some idiot trying to compare Sirianni with Tomlin using CEO. Blood boiling just remembering this. Dude, I really hate that. Regional manager Sirianni acting like he's Michael Scott. JB, exactly. James, I can't believe this is coming on Fox Sports 1. What? Wait a minute. Does Fox Sports 1 have the NLDS? Hold the phone. I just have it on Fox. That's what I thought. I didn't think it was going to be Fox Sports 1. FS1. Babs, give Little Toots a hug for me and watch the Phillies with her. Good luck, sweetie. Thank you, Babs. Appreciate that. Sean Kilrain wearing the burgundy Dutch Dalton pullover jersey. Farzy, let's go. Play the small ball. Do you think Jordan Davis gets an extension after this year? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say right now, no. Michael Wheeler, do they have to go 2-0 at home? Yes. For my own sanity, yes. But they don't. The Phillies always split the first 2 games of a series. Always split the first 2 games of the series. April with the series. That's most of us getting off the couch. Yeah, exactly. Babs, Wentz's 9 career playoff plays are legendary. That's great. Eagles fan. Yeah, 2019. Yeah, with Wentz. Yeah. Big D, how much blame do you put on Howie for this disaster? Here's the two things I look at with Howie. Defensive line in its entirety. He overvalued what he overvalued what he had, and he overvalued what he got. He overvalued Bryce Huff, and he overvalued Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Overvalued. 100%. Quenyon Mitchell makes Howie Roseman look like a damn genius, though. That was a phenomenal pick. He is incredible. I am loving me some Quenyon Mitchell in every aspect. But the defensive line, as of right now, is on a phenomenal pace to be the biggest mistake Howie Roseman's ever made. In terms of going into a season or going into an offseason saying, I like what I got. That can be the base. Let's get Bryce Huff. And letting Hassan Reddick go. True, Hassan Reddick wanted huge money, so I can't blame Howie all that much. But I want to see what he eventually signs for, because he's eventually going to sign somewhere. And I'm hoping the Jets release him, and then the Eagles can sign him. Because the Eagles can't trade for him, but if he's a free agent, they can sign him. And then they'll just get a free third-round pick, so that'd be pretty fun. Phillies' first 2 games were on Fox. Okay, thank you, Babs. McNabb had what for receivers? I love Hurts and Roseman. Sorry, and Soriani. Needs to go take Dunmore High School with them. Yeah, no, McNabb. We all know. James Thrash, Todd Pinkston, Chad Lewis. Pretty good. But yeah, no, he didn't have anybody, which is a great travesty. Unfortunately. Very unfortunate. And then they finally got him T.O. Then they got Dante Stallworth and Freddie Mitchell, of course. Jason Avant, Kevin Curtis. Yeah, nobody. Nobody, unfortunately. Nobody. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Phillies tomorrow night. Tomorrow, 4:08. Eagles have the bye week. That's fun. As for the rest of the weekend, games that we care about. The Jets 4-0. Excuse me. The Vikings 4-0 host the Jets in London town. Good day, governor. That happens on Sunday in London. Commanders 3-1 have the Browns, who the Eagles play next week. So they're hosting the Browns. It's a 1:00 kickoff. The Giants are at the Seahawks, 4:25. Cowboys at the Steelers for waiting all day for Sunday night. Monday night game is the Saints at Chiefs. So that'll be fun. Hey, everybody, it's Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is The Farzy Show. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on The Farzy Show YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. And make sure, especially for all your Philadelphia Phillies postseason needs, you hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, where yours truly will be giving you your Phillies playoff postcasts as we have all season long. So make sure you like and subscribe to Locked On Sports Philadelphia as well. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night after the Phillies beat the Mets in game 1 of that series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. Have a wonderful weekend if I don't see yous. And when I do, at least I'll see you Monday. But definitely Saturday night and Sunday night after the Phillies' first 2 games against the Mets. See you then. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.